Hey everybody over at movies.com. It is the Schmoes No Movie Show. I'm Kristian.
And I am Mark. Kristian, this weekend in theaters you have Winter's Tale and you have Robocop, the reboot we've been waiting for since Robocop 2, I guess. We're very excited not only about Robocop, but also Michael Keaton is back in theaters as kind of the evil genius pulling the strings behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's where, look, we were going over and doing, oh, it was cyborgs or reanimated. We kind of did that already, but wait a minute. We haven't touched on evil geniuses. There are so many evil geniuses in movies, and look, this was the hardest list for us to come up with. We're still not in 100% agreement, but we've compromised because there's so many great ones.
It really is. I mean, when you think of an evil genius, you think of these guys that just come up with these conniving different schemes, and whether they want to foil a city or they just want to make up to $1 million, they're really entertaining to watch. These are our top 5.
Well, speaking to that reference, why don't you go ahead and give us number 5?
The one, the only, Austin Powers' nemesis, Dr. Evil. He's not only an evil genius, his plans don't always work, but he is clearly the funniest part of those movies.
And it's in his name. You have to give it to him. It's Dr. Evil. I mean, come on.
It's right there.
Yeah, it's right there. And we wanted to go with the comedy as well. And in fact, he got foiled quite often, but he always had a scheme, whether it be sharks with lasers on their heads. He had an idea, so he makes number 5 on this list.
He was a dreamer. He wasn't the best father in the world, but man, did he keep us entertained.
Number 4. Good. That would be one Emperor Palpatine. And why is he a genius? Because even doesn't matter what you think about the prequels, you watch what this guy did as a senator, and he had a plan from the beginning. He was looking at this little kid already, knew he was gonna make him an apprentice. He disrupted the government that stood for thousands of years and became Emperor Palpatine.
So you're the guy that paid attention to all that political stuff in the prequels. I was just waiting for more lightsabers and Wookiees, but he was actually reading that crawl text.
Mm-hmm. All right, so what do you got then at number 3?
At number 3, Lex Luthor. We're getting into the comic book world now. The guy that he's just a mortal human, but he had all these interesting ideas of ways to foil this alien called Superman.
Yeah, that was the thing, is that when you have Superman's arch nemesis is a human. And what does he use? He uses his brain. He comes up with these plans to foil him all the time. Sometimes they work and he hurts Superman and he takes out some of a country, and other times he gets foiled, but he still has a plan.
And so well portrayed on screen by Gene Hackman. And now we're going to get Jesse Eisenberg in the new Man of Steel 2. You're not a huge fan of that casting? I think Jesse Eisenberg reeks of evil genius.
He's played one before in Zuckerberg.
It's exciting to see what happens.
All right, then at number 2, we're going to have someone that would love to eat your liver with some Chianti, and that would be Mr. Hannibal Lecter. Gross. This is, how do you not put this guy in there? Because for the longest time, he was just asking you about your problems, and then he would eat your face off right after you told him.
So there's been like, what, 3 or 4 Hannibal movies already, and then you got the TV show, but just that first time you meet Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs, when she's walking by the prison and seeing all these people locked up in these cells, and you see him just very quiet standing there, you know that he's never a guy who used his physicality to dominate other people. Right. It was always in his mind, and from that first time that he's messing with Jodie Foster, you know you're in some serious danger with this dude.
So who is more of an evil genius than Hannibal Lecter? Kaiser Soze! That's right. Number 1's got to be Kaiser Soze.
This is actually one that we did agree on. There's a lot of fighting for numbers 3, 4, and 5, but Kaiser Soze, I mean, come on, the greatest trick the devil will ever pull. He's pulled a lot of good ones, but one of them was actually making all these other guys believe that it wasn't the guy that it was in The Usual Suspect.
I mean, it's great. Again, spoiler review for those who haven't seen it. But it's just, the whole time you think it's one person, and it's not. At one point I thought that Kaiser Soze was an Antonio Banderas desperado-looking guy with long hair and just ready to kill anyone in his path. But it wasn't that. It was a plan. It was a setup from the get-go. And it's the way, he's a genius, man. I love Kaiser Soze.
Watching Chaz Palminteri realize who actually is Kaiser Soze at the end of that movie, it's so cool. Because
coffee cup on the ground.
For a while, you don't even know if you're ever going to get to see what this dude looks like. And then you're like, oh my, that was the whole time. Great movie.
And we still don't know what Kobayashi's real name was. All right, so then we have an honorable mention list, because there were tons of them. Here are some of the honorable mentions for evil geniuses that we had. We had Moriarty from the Sherlock Holmes movies.
Okay, Game of Shadows.
How about Voldemort?
Yeah.
Hans Gruber.
Okay, we took Hans Gruber off because he was eventually pushed out a window by a guy with a gun duct taped to his back.
True, but the one that I still would have liked to seen in there, but I understand why, and that would be the Joker. Probably Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight. I thought would be just what he did to Gotham and the chaos he ensued and the way he did it. And
he came up with a great plan. You know, I think that when you think of evil geniuses, maybe you go to the top 5 guys that we picked before Joker pops in your head.
Yeah.
But obviously he had the plan, he had the manpower, he executed it well. How about Megamind?
Good one as well.
Yeah.
Listen, there are tons and tons of evil geniuses. Very hard list, and this is where you guys come in. Comment below and tell us who'd we miss, who'd we get right, who would you like to see as an evil genius in this very list.
Jabba the Hutt probably had some pretty high SAT scores too.
So
make sure you check out Robocop. It is in theaters this weekend. He's back, baby. And you also have Winter's Tale if you want to see a fairy tale instead of a robot in the future. So
not just, and you also have Endless Love that you can go see with your lady. And don't forget about, what's that other beauty, About Last Night with Kevin Hart.
Have fun at the movies. That is Kristian. I am Mark. For all you lovers out there, happy Valentine's Day from the Schmoes No Movie Show on movies.com.
Your move, creep.
It's very romantic.
Thanks.